Today, we're going to be changing out the CPU on this Dell T58 server, which I've got the case open. CPU's under here. It's a Xeon processor, LGA 2011 size CPU chip. And we're going to be changing out a 4-core processor and putting in a 12-core processor, which I have in this static bag here. Let's see how it goes. First thing I did was remove the power supply back here and push the power on button at the front here, just to make sure that there's absolutely no residual power in any capacitors or anything on the motherboard when we finally extract the CPU. First thing you have to do is undo these 4 mounting screws, 2 on this side and 2 on that side. So let's do that next. They're just held by ordinary Phillips screws, so ordinary Phillips screwdriver should do it. They're under spring tension, so you simply release the tension on them until you feel it pop, like that one. I like to do them on diagonally opposite sides so as to release the tension sort of in a more controlled manner than popping one side then the other. Should hear it pop there, popped. Okay, we go back to this side now. Do this one. You hear it pop. And lastly, this one. It has an airflow indicator on the heatsink assembly, so always make sure it goes to the outer exhaust vent at the back of the machine when you're replacing it. Okay, all 4 screws are loosened, so just carefully lift up on the heatsink assembly. And you'll notice it has a wire connector here. So the next step, I guess, is to carefully remove the wire connector. Your next step is to remove and take the tension off a spring clip here and a spring clip over here to remove the tension on the CPU chip itself. So you just press down on these clips and move it slightly in, and the clip should pop up like that. And the same with the clip on the other side. Now there's no tension on the CPU chip and the little frame it sits in. You swing back these arms all the way and it releases the clamps that press the chip down onto the motherboard. They're a little tricky, I find, but they do come off in the end. You pivot that one up and the CPU die should lift right out. Please note the positioning of the CPU as you remove it. That is critical. There are 2 notches on the green mounting board, here and here, as well as here and here. There's a different width between those notches to orient the CPU so that it'll only plug in one way. So now I'll get the new CPU from the static bag. I'm not wearing a static strap, so I'm just going to discharge my hand like this. And now I'm going to carefully take out the CPU chip and show it to you. So I bought this on eBay for the grand sum of $27 and change. And it's a 12-core SR, I know this is hard to read, SR1 XN at 2.6 gigahertz. Okay, so in order to orient it correctly, I look for the dot in the corner. If I can get my hand out of the way, that dot there. And also I'm looking here at this R3 with the triangle in the corner as well. If you see the little triangle there and that says the word R, the letters R3, that was the way it came out, and that's the way it goes in. I'm just blowing away any dust that could have fallen on the die mounting plate before I clamp in the new CPU chip. Now this CPU chip is clean, so I don't need to scrape off any residue, because this is a used CPU I'm putting in, but it has been cleaned and it is guaranteed to work. If it doesn't, I can return it. Okay, so we just gently place it back on the die mount as carefully as my 66-year-old shaking hands can do. And once again, just double check the orientation is correct. Okay, now we lower gently the plate that holds it in position, and then we reattach the clamp that holds it down. First we do this primary clamp, and then the secondary clamp is the longer of the two. So we squeeze down on this primary clamp and hook it under the chrome loop, like so. And already you can see that the CPU is rigidly mounted in place. However, I don't like that position. I'm going to double check that. There's something that I don't like the looks of. So I'm going to lift it up and take one more look, just to make sure. Yeah, it's mounted correctly. I'm going to check again for any dirt. Because if any one of these tabs has even the slightest amount of dirt on it, it won't make a good electrical connection. It looks clean to me. I'm going to replace it back down again. And it's in the notches. And we'll try to press that in place again. Oop, that wasn't the way you drop that. You shouldn't drop that. You could bounce the chip out of position, so I'll check. The chip is still in position. Put that down again. And you must make sure that the bar here is hooked under that latch so that the bar goes on top and provides pressure on the CPU chip, like that. Okay, so now it's actually pressed in, and the secondary latch is done up to provide equal pressure. And there's the socket type. It says right there, Foxconn 2011-3. So that's the socket type that's written right in here. Okay, I'll press the secondary latch down. Now the CPU is firmly in place, so it's just a matter of re-greasing with silicone grease the CPU coolant tower. It's done with air and conductive coolant, and so you need some CPU grease. I pardon for the fan noise. So I go over here to my little supply, oops, nice noise here, of bits and bobs, and remove this little tube of silicone cooler paste. There, the fan shut off. So apply a thin coating, You do not paste this on like peanut butter. You just want a thin coating across that square. And I'm going to clean that a bit more here before we apply that. So I'm going to use a non-metallic, I repeat, a non-metallic scouring brush to make this shine before I apply the paste. Do not use anything with metal, or else you're going to have little metal fragments that could possibly short out everywhere. So if you look now, I have a nice clean surface to which to apply my new silicone paste too. I'm going to spread it with the razor blade to get a thin, even coating. And this paste is a bit watery, so I'm going to have to do this off camera. Now this is about all the paste you should have here. We're not talking about gobs and blobs of paste. Okay? Okay, now we're going to proceed to lower the heatsink assembly back on top of the CPU. Once again, one last check. Everything looks clean and smooth. The paste is well applied, so we just lower it gently down. Give it a little twist to settle the paste, and then with a screwdriver that we used earlier, we'll retighten the screws. Taking a careful note not to overdo it. Starting diagonally opposite corners, like the way we took it apart, and then alternating to the other diagonal. You must apply a bit of pressure to get the thread started. And then just slowly alternate while you're screwing it down. All 4 screws till you feel them stop. That one stopped. That one stopped. That one stopped, and finally the one back here you can't see. It stopped. Okay, check that it seems smooth. And again, please note the orientation of the airflow indicator should be towards the back of the machine. And lastly, reconnect the temperature sender here. Okay, temperature sending monitoring clamp or assembly wire harness is back in. CPU cooling tower attached, screws all bottomed out. Just give it a little wobble and you'll feel that it's very steady and secure. Remove my little camera prop and we'll proceed to the final test. Keep your fingers crossed. The moment of truth has arrived, along with the heater fan. We're about to try the first initial startup of this new to this machine 12-core CPU after removing the old 4-core CPU in this bag. So I've got all the things attached. Let's power it up and see what happens. So far nothing, because I don't believe the plug is powered into the wall socket. Huh? It is. Let's try that again. Okay, I hear power. No beep codes yet. We come over here to the monitor and let's see what we get. No green on the monitor yet. Still waiting. This machine takes a long time to boot. We'll move this cord out of the way. Green light on the monitor, meaning it's getting a video signal. So at least something's going on. No beeping from the BIOS. Dell splash screen. And I see the spinning wheel of Windows. I would say we have a success. Bye for now until we see the performance increase. It's now showing our 12-core CPU. Okay, this is next time a service. We'll get that out of the way. Sorry about that. It's showing our 12-core CPU now with 30 megabytes of cache as opposed to 10. So let's run it through the paces and see what happens. We'll do a bench on it. We'll reference this processor and we'll compare it against the 14900K core. Okay, so we bench that. And stop. Now we'll stress the CPU, all cores, and run. And stop. So this is a very impressive update as far as the old machine goes. I'll provide you with some data for that and I'll paste it into this video later. Okay, this is my daily workhorse machine. It has 28 cores. So I think it's gonna smoke that on the machine. It's still at a 2690, but it's a version 4 and less than $200. Incredible.